Good evening, Panditraj.
Good evening, students. Yes, we are. Yes, coming to the chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration. In this chapter, we are studying about human endocrine system, where human endocrine system includes different endocrine glands. In our last class, we have studied about hypothalamus, we have studied about pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, and then adrenal gland. And in the last class, we were discussing about the adrenal gland, and the adrenal gland is located about the kidney. It is a pyramid-shaped gland that is present above the kidney, which is divided into two regions: outer adrenal cortex, inner adrenal medulla. And adrenal medulla secretes two types of hormones, and they are called as adrenaline and noradrenaline. Adrenaline and noradrenaline, where adrenaline and noradrenaline togetherly called as catecholamines. And these catecholamines, they are generally secreted when the person is under stress. Okay, and they are called as hormone of fight or flight. Okay, they are called as hormone of fight or flight because they are secreted when the person is under stress. When these hormones are secreted, there are few changes taking place. That means it increases the heart rate and the rate of respiration. The person starts sweating and pupillary dilation and piloerection. Okay, these are the changes that is taking place when these catecholamines are released. Then coming to next one, that is adrenal cortex. It is mainly divided into three regions: zona glomerulosa, outermost region, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis. These are the three regions of adrenal cortex, and these regions they secrete an hormone called as corticoids. There are mainly two types of corticoids: glucocorticoids, and mineralocorticoids, where glucocorticoids, they help in the glucose metabolism, and the glucocorticoid present is called as cortisol. And mineralocorticoids, we have mineralocorticoids, they help in the water and the mineral balance or the electrolyte balance, and the mineralocorticoids present called as aldosterone. Okay, coming to the glucocorticoids. Okay, we have spoken about glucocorticoids. What are the function of glucocorticoids? They mainly formation of glucose or gluconeogenesis. Okay, anything has to be formed, then we call it as genesis. Gluconeogenesis. Breakdown, we call it as lysis. Where along with that, glucocorticoids, they also help in breakdown of protein and lipid, that is proteolysis and lipolysis, breakdown of protein and lipid, and also it helps in the inflammatory reaction. It suppresses the immune system, okay, by reacting to the inflammatory reactions. Okay, they suppress our immune system. Then last we have Rbc production. Along with this, which is the hormone that helps in Rbc production? Thyroxine, that is triiodo or tetrahydrothyroxine. They also help in the RBC production. This is what we have studied in the last class. Coming to the next one, that is mineralocorticoids. These mineralocorticoids and the main hormone secreted by the mineralocorticoids, they are called as aldosterone. This aldosterone, the mineralocorticoid aldosterone, they act on the renal tubules and help in the reabsorption of water and sodium. Okay, mineralocorticoid. The mineralocorticoid present in human is aldosterone. This aldosterone, where do they act? They act on the renal tubules. They act on renal tubules and they help in the reabsorption of water and sodium. Okay, from the renal tubule, this water and the sodium will be reabsorbed, and it also helps to eliminate the potassium and phosphate. They also help in the elimination of potassium and phosphate. Is that clear? Mineralocorticoids, the hormone aldosterone, it mainly helps in the reabsorption of water and sodium. Along with it also helps to throw the waste product, that is, it helps to excrete the potassium and the phosphate. Okay, this is about mineralocorticoids. Then coming to the next one, along with this, the adrenal cortex region, along with the corticoids, they also secrete androgenic steroids. What do they secrete? Androgenic steroids. Steroid hormones, androgenic steroid. Adrenal cortex, they also secrete androgenic steroids. These hormones, they help in the growth of axial hair. Okay, they help in the growth of axial hair during the puberty. Okay, during the puberty there is development of axial and the pubic hair. Okay, that is also regulated, or that is also accelerated by androgenic steroid. Adrenal cortex along with corticoids, what do they secrete? Androgenic steroids. This androgenic steroid helps in the growth of axial hair, pubic hair and facial hair. Facial hair in case of men, that is development of beard or mustache. Okay, in the puberty, this androgenic steroid, which is secreted by the adrenal cortex, they help in the growth of axial hair. Axial hair is the central body part. Axial hair, pubic hair. Okay, the growth of hair in the private parts, and the facial hair. Men, that is development of hair in the face. Okay, by finally mustache or beard. This is about the adrenal gland. Okay, coming to the next one. Next endocrine gland we have pancreas. Till now the gland whichever we have studied, they come under purely endocrine gland. Okay, that is hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus or adrenal gland. All this come under purely endocrine gland. That means they are mainly secrete hormones. Mainly hormones and the secrete matter. But coming to the next one, that is next hormones or next endocrine gland, we will be studying about pancreas, we will be studying about the gonads, that is testes or ovary. All this comes under partial endocrine glands. Okay. Coming to the next one, that is pancreas. We know that pancreas come under what type of gland? They are heterocrine gland. Okay, that means they have both dual function. They secrete enzymes as well as hormones. That is why we call pancreas as heterocrine gland. Okay, what is there? We have heterocrine gland. That means they have both endocrine and exocrine. They act as both endocrine and exocrine glands. Is that clear? Coming to exocrine nature. What is the exocrine nature of pancreas? They secrete enzymes. They secrete enzymes. Okay, pancreas, they secrete enzymes. That is the exocrine nature of the pancreas. Okay, it secretes pancreatic juice, and the pancreatic juice consists of number of hormones. That is exocrine property of the pancreas. Now coming to endocrine property, which is the cells that act as endocrine gland. We have islet of Langerhans. Islet of Langerhans. These are the endocrine cells of pancreas. Pancreas is the endocrine cells, that is islet of Langerhans. These islet of Langerhans, they are the endocrine cells of our pancreas. They are the, what type of cell they are? Endocrine cell of our pancreas. Okay, these islet of Langerhans, they are made up of specially 3 types of cell. According to your NCERT, they have mentioned only 2 types, but you can write all the 3 types. Which are the 3 types of cells? Alpha cell, beta cell, and the delta cell. These are the cells. The islet of Langerhans is made up of alpha cell, beta cell, and delta cell. Since these cells secrete enzymes, these cells will be responsible in secreting enzymes. That is why we say they are the endocrine part of pancreas. Which is the endocrine part of pancreas? Islet of Langerhans. This islet of Langerhans is made up of 3 types of cells, which are there: alpha cell, beta cell, and delta cell. Where the alpha cell secretes an hormone called glucagon. Alpha cell secretes an hormone called as glucagon, and beta cell secretes an hormone called as insulin. And delta cell secretes an hormone called as somatostatin. Other than delta cell, which will secrete somatostatin? Hypothalamus. Okay, they are inhibitory cells. Hypothalamus, they are the inhibitory cells of growth hormones. Along with that, delta cells of pancreas also secrete somatostatin. Is this clear? Okay. Now coming to alpha cell. That is alpha cell. What does it secrete? Glucagon. They secrete glucagon. The main function of glucagon is it helps in, it converts glycogen into glucose. Whenever there is less glucose in the blood, or when the blood sugar level falls down, when what happens when the blood sugar level decreases? Okay, when the blood sugar level decreases, we need glucose in the blood. We are correct? When the blood glucose level decreases, what happens? We need glucose in the blood. During that time, the stored form of glucose, which is the stored form of glucose? Glycogen. That has to be broken down into glucose because the blood sugar level has decreased. So the glycogen has to be converted into glucose. Who will be helping in the conversion of glycogen into glucose? Glucagon. Okay, glucagon. Whenever there is less sugar in the blood, glucagon converts glycogen into glucose. And this process of breakdown of glycogen is called as glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis, that is breakdown of glycogen into glucose. The breakdown of glycogen into glucose. Okay, breakdown of glycogen into glucose, that is called as glycogenolysis. Glycogen breakdown. Lysis is breakdown, glycogenolysis is breakdown of glycogen. Is that clear? Okay. Now, along with this, to increase the sugar level, these hormones, they reduce the uptake of glucose by the cells and utilization of glucose by the cells. They reduce uptake and utilization of glucose by cells. Why they do that? Yes, because in the blood the level of glucose is less. To increase that, they reduce the intake of glucose to the cells and utilization of glucose will be reduced. If it is reduced, what happens? The glucose will be retained in the blood itself. ಅರ್ಥಾಯ್ತಾ? ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಆಗ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್. ಟು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್, ದೇ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ದ ಅಪ್ಟೇಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಬೈ ದ cell. Now by breakdown of glycogen, we have got glucose in the blood. By reduction of uptake of glucose, again glucose is reduced. Now what happens due to this hormone? The blood glucose level will is increased. Okay, they increase the blood glucose level. That is why this hormone is called as hyperglycemic hormone. It is called as hyperglycemic hormone. Is that clear? It is called as because they are the one which is increasing the blood sugar level. Is that clear? That is why it is called as hyperglycemic hormone. It is important for 2 marks. In the pancreas, the islet of Langerhans, they are made up of 3 types of cells. One is alpha cell. This alpha cell secretes a hormone called as glucagon. This glucagon helps in the breakdown of glycogen into glucose. Why there is breakdown of glycogen into glucose? Because there is less blood sugar level. Okay, that is why the glycogen will be broken down into glucose, and that process is called as glycogenolysis. Along with that, when the blood sugar level is less, the uptake of glucose by the cell is reduced. Why is it reduced? To increase the blood sugar level. Since this hormone is increasing the blood sugar level, this hormone is called as hyperglycemic hormone, which increases the calcium level in the blood. That is called as hypercalcemic hormone. This is increasing glucose level in the blood. That is why it is called as hyperglycemic hormone. Is that clear? This is about alpha cell and the glucagon. Coming to the next one, pancreas secrete. Islet of Langerhans have beta cell. It secretes a hormone called as insulin. Okay. Whenever there is increased blood sugar level, okay, what happens? ಯಾವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ sugar level increase ಆಗ್ತದೆ, during that time when the blood sugar increases in the blood, that is in the blood sugar increases, insulin, what is the function of insulin? Yes, it converts glucose to glycogen. It converts glucose to glycogen, and this process is called as glycogenesis. It is called as glycogenesis. What is the meaning of glycogenesis? Formation of glycogen. Then it is exactly opposite, that is glycogenolysis, breakdown of glycogen. Here formation of glycogen, that is glycogenesis. Is that clear? In the blood, whenever the blood sugar level increases, insulin converts that glucose into glycogen. Okay, what is the function here? Glucose is converted into glycogen, and the process is called as glycogenesis. And along with that, since the blood sugar level is less, there is reduction of uptake of glucose. Here, since the blood sugar level is more, it increases the uptake of glucose by cell. Is that clear? What does it do? It increases the intake of glucose by the cell. Clear? Now what happens? Since the blood has more glucose, when it is moving to the cell and when the cell utilizes, the blood glucose level decreases. Is that clear? When the glucose is converted into glycogen, the blood sugar level decreases. Along with that, when the cells receives the oxygen, when cells receives the glucose, at the same time the blood sugar level decreases. Now, because of this hormone, the blood sugar level decreases. Okay, decreases. That is why this hormone is called as very good hypoglycemic hormone. This hormone is called as hypoglycemic hormone. This is hyperglycemic and this is hypoglycemic hormone. That means it reduces the blood sugar level. Okay, blood sugar level reduce ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. That is why it is called as hypoglycemic hormones. Now, failure in the production of insulin, okay, that leads to the disorder called as diabetic mellitus. Okay, what happens when insulin is not secreted? Enough insulin is not secreted, there is increase in the blood sugar level. Okay, if insulin is not secreted, glucose cannot be converted into glycogen or glucose cannot be taken up by the cells and tissues. That is why there is increase in the blood sugar level. Okay, if there is increase in the blood sugar level, that is if it is not converted into glycogen, then there will be breakdown of fat or breakdown of protein. Here, because we do not have glycogen to break down into glucose for energy purpose. That is why there is breakdown of fat or breakdown of proteins. Here what happens? Blood consists of glucose and fat which is broken down, it forms ketone bodies. In the urine, during the filtration, in the urine, the amount of ketone bodies and the glucose contained is more. That is how you detect the person will be having diabetic mellitus. Okay, by urine test, if there is increase in the ketone bodies or increase in the sugar level in the amount of glucose, that means the person is suffering from the diabetic mellitus. That means his body is not producing enough insulin. That is why they take an insulin injection for the tablets. Okay, insulin tablets or insulin injection. Is that clear? Okay. Here we completed two hormones, alpha cell that is glucagon and beta cell secreting insulin. Coming to the third one, that is delta cell, it secretes. Coming to delta cell, it secretes an hormone called as somatostatin. Okay, it secretes an hormone called as somatostatin, and this somatostatin will inhibit the production of glucagon and insulin. Okay, if there is excess secretion of glucagon or if there is excess secretion of insulin, that is inhibited. Okay, excess secretion will be inhibited by somatostatin. They directly inhibit the alpha cell and beta cell. Okay, to stop the production of insulin and glucagon. Yeah, this is about pancreas. Yes, so delta cell of islet of Langerhans, they secrete an hormone called as somatostatin. This somatostatin hormone, they will be acting on alpha cell and beta cell and inhibit the secretion of glucagon and insulin. Okay, they inhibit the secretion of glucagon and insulin. Clear up? Then, coming to the next one, that is we'll be studying about gonads. Okay, first we'll study about testes, then about the ovary. These are the partial endocrine glands. Okay, coming to gonads. Coming to the first one, that is testes. In male, there is a pair of testes which is located at the lower part of the abdomen, outside the body, within a sac-like structure called as scrotum. Okay, where in males, a pair of testes is located in the lower part of the abdomen. Okay, lower part of the abdomen. Males consist of a pair of testes which is located inside a sac or a bag-like structure, and it is called as scrotum. Okay, it's called as scrotum. And here, testes and it is not a purely endocrine gland. It is partially endocrine gland because its primary function is it acts as it is a primary sex organ in case of male. Okay, that is why we say they are partial endocrine gland, because the main function of testes, their primary function is they act as primary sex organ in male. Okay, they are the primary sex organ in the male. Is that clear? Okay. Now, coming to the next one. These testes, they produce an hormone called as androgen. That is testosterone. They produce an hormone called as testosterone or androgen. Okay, they have produced, testes produce an hormone called as androgen or testosterone. Is this clear? Now, when we take a transverse section of testes, where this hormone is secreted, to know which cell secretes this hormone, when we take a transverse section of testes is made up of seminiferous tubule. There are a number of tubules called as seminiferous tubules, where exactly the sperms are synthesized. Okay, in detail we will be studying in your second POC, but you should know that when you take a transverse section, we have male consist of seminiferous tubules, where exactly the sperms are synthesized. They have been arranged there, and between the seminiferous tubule, the space is called as interstitial space. Okay, between seminiferous tubule, the space present, it is called as interstitial space. And in this interstitial space, they have a cells called as Leydig cells or interstitial cells. They are called as Leydig cell, or they are also called as interstitial cells. I repeat, the testes, when we take out the transverse section, it consists of seminiferous tubule, and between the seminiferous tubule, the space present, it is called as interstitial space, which is filled by interstitial tissues. Okay, it is filled by interstitial tissues. Along with that, they have a cells present in the interstitial space. What is it called as? Leydig cell, or it is also called as interstitial cells. These Leydig cells, they are the one which is secreting the androgen, that is testosterone. ಈ Leydig cell ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ testosterone ಅನ್ನು secrete ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. Clear ಎಷ್ಟು? Clear. Okay. Coming to the next one. Coming to the function of androgen one by one. First one, it helps in the development, maturation and the function. Okay, it is involved in the development, maturation and the function of male sex organs. Okay, which are the male sex organs generally? This is just a rough diagram. Okay, but this is a testis which consists of seminiferous tubule, and it will be having accessory sex organs, where once the sperm is synthesized, it has to pass along the accessory sex organs, correct? Where we have the epididymis. Epididymis, where the sperms are stored, then it is carried along the tubular structure called as vas deferens, then it is carried through urethra, then it is transmitted along the male genitals. Along with that we have seminal vesicles and the prostate gland. Okay, when we have male sex organ, it also consists of prostate gland as well as seminal vesicles. Okay, which helps in the production of semen. Okay, formation of semen. Okay. For this purpose, for our maturation, for functioning, this androgen will be helping. Okay, for what purpose? For the development, for maturation and the functioning of male sex organs like epididymis, vas deferens, urethra, seminal vesicle and prostate gland. And the prostate gland. Okay, seminal vesicle and the prostate gland. Okay, it helps in the maturation and functioning of this male sex organs. Okay, accessory sex organs. Is that clear? Clear? Along with this, the androgens or the testosterone, they help in the development of secondary sexual character in males. That is, development of muscular growth. Okay, when we compare the male and female, who's masculine? Males. Okay, that is muscular growth, development of facial and axial hair. Okay, the other functions of androgen, muscular growth, then development of facial and axial hair. Okay, facial hair, that is mustache and beard, axial hair, central body hair. Okay, and then aggressiveness. Male are more aggressive than female, and low pitch voice. Female will be having high pitch voice. Okay, now picture the high picture okay, where you will be having a bass voice. There is transformation of voice. Once you reach the puberty, that is about in the 8th, 9th standard, there is crackling in your voice and there is you will be developing a low pitch voice. That is due to the high secretion of androgen. Is that clear? Where there is muscular growth, facial or axial hair, and aggressiveness and low pitch voice. These testosterone, they also help in the formation of sperm, that is spermatogenesis. Next function is they help in spermatogenesis, that is formation of sperm. They help in spermatogenesis, formation of sperm. That is spermatogenesis, formation of sperm. Is it clear? Along with this, the androgen present, they act on central nervous system and they develop a male sexual character or behavior. Okay, they are also involved in the male sexual behavior. We call it as libido. Okay, that is male sexual behavior, where it includes after the age of puberty, where the male gets attracted towards the female. All these are the male sexual behavior, changes in the behavior in the male. Okay, that is because of the androgen, which acts on central nervous system, and it will develop a male sexual behavior. Okay, desire or the male sexual desires. Is that clear? Okay. Coming to the next one. Along with this, androgen also helps in the synthesis of carbohydrates and proteins. Okay, along with all the sexual characteristics, they also help in the synthesis of carbohydrates and protein. Androgen also help in the synthesis of carbohydrates and proteins. This is the function of gonad, testes, which secretes a hormone called as androgen, it is testosterone. Okay, mainly there will be the maturation or the development of male or the growth of male secondary sexual accessory organs. Okay, it is not secondary sexual accessory organs, male accessory sex organs like epididymis, vas deferens, urethra, seminal vesicle and the prostate gland. Along with that, it is also involved in the development of male behavior, character, where muscular growth, development of facial and axial hair, aggressiveness, we're having a low pitch voice. And it also enhances spermatogenesis, that is formation of sperms. And along with that, androgen acts on central nervous system, where it will develop the male sexual behavior or the desire, is called as libido. Okay, this is about the gonad, that is testis. Coming to the next one, that is ovary in case of female. And the ovary is located, where is it located? At the lower part of the abdomen. In the abdomen region, the females, there is a pair of ovary located. A pair of ovary is located at the lower part of the abdomen in the females. And how testis acts as a primary sex organ in the male. Similarly, ovary, it acts as primary sex organ in female. Primary sex organ in the female. In case of male, testis, there will be the formation of sperm. That is how they act as primary sex organ. In case of female, ovary, they release ovum, or by the production of ovum. Okay, that is how they act as primary sex organ. Along with that, ovary also produces an hormone, two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone. Okay, coming to ovary. This is the follicles will be growing in the ovary, correct? Where this is primary follicle, where it is the number increases. This follicles increases to form or they grow into secondary follicles. Then they form tertiary follicles or Graafian follicles. Then tertiary follicles or the Graafian follicles rupture and release ovum. And then the Graafian follicle forms the structure called as Corpus Luteum, and this Corpus Luteum further gets degenerated into Corpus albicans, and then they degenerate. Okay. Now here we have the cortex cells and the stromal cells present. They secrete an hormone called as estrogen. Estrogen is secreted, and this estrogen secreted is the hormone which is secreted, estrogen. It helps in the growth of ovarian follicles. That is, we have primary follicles, then it has to grow into secondary, then it has to grow into tertiary or ovarian follicles. For that growth, who will be helping? Estrogen. Okay, estrogen mainly helps in the growth of ovarian follicles. Okay, estrogen mainly helps in the growth of ovarian follicles and ovulation. That is, once the Graafian follicles are completely matured, grown, they rupture and they release ovum, and that process is called as ovulation. Is that clear? For the growth of this ovarian follicles and for the release of ovum, which hormone helps? Estrogen. Is that clear? Now, coming to the next function, how in case of testosterone, it helps in the male sexual character. Similarly, estrogen helps in the female sexual character. That is, high pitch voice. Then what else? Growth of mammary gland. high pitched voice, growth of mammary gland, and female sexual behavior. And the female sexual behavior. Who is responsible for this? Estrogen. Mainly estrogen. Is that clear? Ovary, it is made up of stromal cells and the follicular cells which secretes an hormone called as estrogen. That estrogen helps in the growth of ovarian follicles. Ovarian follicles in the growth again and to release the ovum. The estrogen helps. Along with that, it also helps in the female sexual behavior, that is high pitch voice and also the development of mammary gland. Is this clear? Okay. Along with that, I have told you it also secretes one more hormone called as progesterone. Once the ovum is released, the structure corpus luteum is formed. This corpus luteum secretes an hormone called as progesterone. What do they do? They secrete an hormone called as progesterone. Ishtilvi vartha here. Okay. Now, corpus luteum secretes an hormone called as progesterone. Now, this structure, corpus luteum, in normal females, if the ovum released which is degenerated, if it gets degenerated, after 2 to 3 days, it gets degenerated. In that time, the corpus luteum will get converted into corpus albicans. Right? Corpus luteum structure change after it gets degenerated. In simple way, it is degenerated. But if the ovum which is released, in the fallopian tube, in the female's fallopian tube, if it is fertilized, okay, if it is fertilized, what happens? It will be converting it into, that means the zygote is formed. Okay, where the after fertilization, after the zygote formation, they form an embryo. Embryo is formed. Is that clear? Now, if the female, that means the female is pregnant. During that time, the corpus luteum structure retains as it is. During pregnancy, the corpus luteum do not get degenerated. This corpus luteum structure retains as it is and keeps on secreting this hormone called as progesterone. What is the function of this progesterone during the pregnancy is, it helps in the attachment of embryo into the wall of uterus. What does it do? It helps in the attachment. What is the main function? It helps in the attachment of wall of embryo into the wall of uterus. If the progesterone, if the corpus luteum degenerates, progesterone is not secreted, the embryo which is attached to the uterus gets eaten. That is abortion or miscarriage. Here, for that purpose, the corpus, if the female is pregnant or if the ovum is fertilized, that means the female is pregnant. During that condition, the corpus luteum retains as such and it keeps on secreting progesterone throughout the pregnancy. Clear? Okay. Now, that is why this progesterone is also called as pregnancy hormone. That doesn't mean that the non-pregnant female do not have progesterone until the corpus luteum, that is up to 2 to 3 days, the corpus luteum will be present, it will be secreting progesterone. Is that clear? Normal female, non-pregnant female also have progesterone, but only for a short period of time. Okay, but in case of pregnancy, it is continued throughout the pregnancy. That is why it is called as pregnancy hormone. Is that clear? Along with this, these progesterone, they also act on the alveoli of mammary gland. We are not speaking about the alveoli of the lungs. Even in the mammary gland, they have a sac-like structure, number of sac-like structure which together forms a mammary gland. Okay, that is called as alveoli sac, where the milk is stored. Okay, it also helps in this enlargement of alveolar sac. For what purpose? For storage of milk. Progesterone will act on the alveolar sac of mammary gland. Okay, which helps in the storage of milk. Is it clear? Yes or no? Yes, this is about the ovaries. Along with that, we also have a temporary endocrine gland which is called as, you want me to repeat ovary? Okay, ovary, in case of female gonads, there is ovary. Ovary is a primary sex organ in female. Where is it located? At the lower part of the abdomen. This ovary produces two types of hormone, one is estrogen and progesterone, where estrogen helps in the growth of ovarian follicles and also ovulation. When the ovarian follicles has to grow, estrogen helps. Along with that, it also helps in the female sexual behavior, that is development of high pitch voice and growth of mammary gland. Along with that, once the brachial follicles rupture, they form a structure called as corpus luteum, and this corpus luteum secretes progesterone. This progesterone, if the female is pregnant, if the ovum released is fertilized, the corpus luteum retains as such and the progesterone will be secreted throughout the pregnancy. The main function is it helps in the attachment of embryo into the wall of uterus. Along with that, they also helps in the enlargement of alveolar sac in the mammary gland for the storage of milk. Is it clear? This is about the ovary. Along with this, in case of female, that is during the pregnancy, the placenta is formed. Okay, that placenta is the one which is a connection between the mother and the fetus inside the womb. Okay, between the mother and the fetus, there is a connection formed that is called as placenta. Since this placenta is capable of secreting hormones, we call them as temporary endocrine gland. Okay, in female during pregnancy, between there is a connection between the mother and the fetus, which forms placenta. Okay, since it is present only during the time of pregnancy, we call it as temporary endocrine gland, and they are capable of secreting hormones. There are mainly two types of hormones produced by the placenta. One is HCG, that is human chronic gonadotropin. Human chronic gonadotropin. Okay, HCG. HCG, okay, that this human chronic gonadotropin will act on corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. Okay, they will be initiating corpus luteum to secrete progesterone, okay, pregnancy hormone. And during the first 50 days or after the 50 days of pregnancy or implantation, this HCG is present more amount in the female urine. In the urine, this hormone will be secreted. That is how they test using the testing kit. Okay, usually they do that pregnancy testing kit. How do they detect that? They just check for human chronic gonadotropin. If this hormone is present, then the test will be positive. That means the female is pregnant. Is that clear? Okay. Coming to next one, HPL, that is human placental lactogen. They help in the mammary growth of mammary gland. Human placental lactogen. Human placental lactogen. They act on the mammary gland for the growth of mammary gland. Growth of mammary gland. Human placental lactogen that help in the formation of mammary gland. Clear? Okay. Now, we have completed the hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, and then adrenal gland, pancreas, testis, and ovary. Coming to the next one, we will be studying about the other than the endocrine or the partial endocrine glands, which are the parts of body that secrete hormones, which are the organs they secrete hormones. Coming to the first one, that is heart. Coming to other organs that helps in they are responsible in secreting hormones. Coming to the first one, heart. Heart secretes a factor called as atrial natriuretic. This you will be studying under regulation of excretion, under the chapter regulation of under excretion and the excretory products. Under regulation of excretion, again you will be studying about atrial natriuretic factor. This atrial natriuretic factor is secreted by the wall of atria. How are they secreted? They are secreted by the wall of atria. Okay, they are secreted by the wall of atria. When this atrial natriuretic factor is secreted, when the blood pressure increases, the wall of atria secretes a factor called as atrial natriuretic factor. Is that clear? In our heart, in the atria, the wall of atria secretes atrial natriuretic factor when there is increase in the blood pressure. Now, what does this atrial natriuretic factor do? They do dilation of blood vessels. Okay, what is dilation of blood vessels? Increase the diameter of the blood vessels. When the blood vessel diameter increases, the blood pressure decreases. Okay, that is how the atrial natriuretic factor helps. That is how the atrial natriuretic factor helps. Heart produces the atrial natriuretic factor. It can be represented as ANF. Okay, which releases this atrial natriuretic factor? Wall of atria, heart in simple. When the blood pressure increases, the ANF will be released. That what does it do? Vasodilation, increase in the diameter of blood vessels, that reduces the blood pressure. Then we have the next one, that is kidney. Next we have kidney. Kidney produces, that is, there are JG cells, okay, juxtaglomerular cells. This juxtaglomerular cells, they produce a peptide hormone called as erythropoietin. Okay, erythropoietin. Now tell me. Okay, JG cells, they secrete an hormone called as peptide hormone called as erythropoietin. Is clear? JG cell, that is kidney cells, they produce erythropoietin. Now tell me, what is the function of erythropoietin? Erythropoiesis. Okay, this erythropoietin hormone which will act on the bone marrow. Okay, they stimulate the bone marrow for the synthesis of RBC, that is erythropoiesis. Erythropoiesis. Is it clear? The kidney consists of JG cells. Again, I will be repeating in the excretion chapter, but keep in mind, kidney, they consist of JG cells, juxtaglomerular cells. These juxtaglomerular cells, they secrete an hormone called as erythropoietin, and that erythropoietin helps in erythropoiesis. Is that clear? Now we know which are the hormones that helps in erythropoiesis. One is JG cell secreting erythropoietin. Then tetrahydrothyronine or triiodothyronine. Along with that, aldosterone. Along with that, glucocorticoids. Okay, glucocorticoids, they help in the production of RBC. Okay, it is not aldosterone, it is glucocorticoids. Clear? Okay, okay. Along with this, the GG cell. Now we can consider, before that, liver, it produces a factor called as angiotensinogen. Liver, it produces a factor called as angiotensinogen. Okay. Now, this angiotensinogen, mainly it has to be activated now. To activate this angiotensinogen with the GG cell of the kidney, it produces an hormone hormone called factor called as renin. It is RENIN, which is different from RENN. I have told you it will be repeated again in expression, correct? This GG cell of the kidney, they produce a factor called as renin. This renin will be acting on angiotensinogen that is present in the liver. Is it clear, everyone? Okay. Now this angiotensinogen, that is inactive form, in the presence of renin, gets converted into angiotensin 1. First it will be converted into angiotensin 1. Now in the lungs, when it is circulated, angiotensin 1, in the lungs, this angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2. In the liver. In the liver, angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2. Sorry, it is liver. Angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2. Is it clear? Okay, this angiotensin 2 will act on adrenal cortex to secrete aldosterone. Clear? This angiotensin 1 is getting converted into angiotensin 2, and this angiotensin 2 will act on whom? Adrenal cortex to secrete aldosterone. What is the function of aldosterone? Reabsorption of water and electrolyte for excreting potassium and phosphate. Is that clear? That is how exactly the regulation takes place. We have seen how heart, how kidney and liver, they help in synthesize hormones. Is it clear? Clear, Ashto? Okay. I repeat, heart, the wall of atria secretes an hormone. Which hormone? Atrial natriuretic factor. What is the function of ANF? Atrial natriuretic factor? They act on the wall of, they are synthesized by the wall of atria whenever there is increase in the blood pressure. Whenever there is increase in the blood pressure, the blood vessels increases in the diameter. That is, dilation takes place, and that decreases the blood pressure. Then we have kidney. In the kidney, there are GG cells, juxtaglomerular cells, which secretes a factor called as erythropoietin. This erythropoietin helps in erythropoiesis, that is formation of RBC. Then the liver produces a factor called as angiotensinogen, where GG cell secretes renin, converting angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. And this angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2. And that acts on adrenal cortex to release aldosterone. And this aldosterone will be helping in the absorption of water. Clear? Along with that, in our alimentary canal, okay, there are mainly 4 types of enzymes secreted. Yes, we have already studied like gastrin, secretin, cholecytokinin, and gastric inhibitory protein peptides. Okay, gastro-inhibitory peptides. Clear? Androgastrin. Okay. Coming to gastrin, you know the function of gastrin. What is the function of gastrin? Secretion of gastric juice. They help in the secretion of gastric juice. Okay, where are they secreted? By the wall of stomach. Okay, they are secreted by the wall of stomach. That helps in the secretion of gastric juice. That might be HCl or that might be proenzymes. Then we have secretin. This secretin will be acting on pancreas and they help in the release of water and bicarbonate from the pancreas. Secretin, they will be acting on pancreas, converting them into, they help in the release of water and bicarbonate. Water and bicarbonate. Then we have porocytokinin. They act on pancreas and gallbladder. They act on pancreas and gallbladder to release pancreatic juice and the bile juice and the pancreatic juice. Then we have gastric inhibitory peptides, that is enterogastron. They inhibit the release of inhibit the release of gastric juice. We inhibit the release of gastric juice. They inhibit the release of gastric juice. Okay. The small part is remaining, that is action of hormones, that I will be continuing in the next class. For today's class, we have studied about adrenal gland, then pancreas, testes, ovary, and about the other hormones which are involved in which acts as the endocrine, also it releases the hormones. Along with this, different parts of our body they release growth hormones, okay, which is involved in the growth and development. Okay. In tomorrow's class, we'll be continuing with let's continue with the hormone action, and we'll start with a new chapter, neural control and coordination. Thank you.